hearts. A couple of thoughts for today. First is, it's a terrifying reading from St. Paul, isn't it? If we really think about it, he's like, I'm not aware of anything on my conscience, but just because of that, that doesn't mean that I'm guiltless, because the one to judge me is God. God's judgment is perfect. And at the end, he said, he will manifest the motives of our hearts. The Catechism teaches us about the final judgment, right? And that we'll have a particular judgment at the end of our life, which will be just us and the Lord when we die. But then at the end, that particular judgment will be made public to everyone. Like, ooh. Every thought, every word, every gesture, every action will be laid bare to the whole universe. So if we think we're getting away with anything, we are not. And that's why it's so important whenever we come to funerals, like we try not to canonize people because we just don't know. Unless if they're, I always say, if at the funeral and you touch their casket and they're cured of leprosy, or they can start walking, get out of their wheelchair, pretty good sign, right? But otherwise, we have canonized saints for a reason, because we've submitted their life to a rigorous scrutiny that says, yep, we're really sure they're in heaven. If we're not really sure, we should pray for them, because only God knows the depth of their heart. And that's not a despairing point of view. That's actually just a very reasonable point of view to say, Jesus says, be perfect as your Father is perfect. Now, friends, we can't do that on our own. And you're like, man, I can't do that. And you're right, I can't either. That's why we need the Holy Spirit. If we're trying to do it in the old way of just gutting it out, it's not going to work. We need fresh wine, fresh wineskins of the Holy Spirit. We need our life to be redone. And how will that happen? Well, by prayer and penance. Wait, didn't Jesus say we're not going to fast because he's with us and he's here in the Eucharist? So why do we don't have to fast, do we? It's like, no. When Jesus was walking the earth, it was a prefigurement of heaven. When they're in his company, it's like, wow, you're with Jesus, you're in heaven, and in heaven there'll be no fasting. There'll be the feast of God. We'll feast on his presence forever. But he says days will come when the bridegroom is taken away, and that's when he was ascended into heaven, and the life of the church is a life of prayer and fasting until the day when the bridegroom comes to take us home. And then we will have the feast. And so don't listen to those false prophets who say, oh, we don't have to fast anymore. It's like, no. We do. This is the time where we fast, we deny ourselves because we're waiting for the heavenly banquet. We don't want to become so sated with the pleasures of this life that we forget this life is going to end. We need to really be thinking about that, to recognize that we have to be a new creation. So we can't receive the newness of heaven if we are living in the old man, if we're living in the old way of thinking. That's why we must die. The old wineskin has to be done away with, and the new wineskin has to be given to us. So in baptism, we died. We were given new wineskins so we can receive the Holy Spirit. And every day we have to die to ourselves so we can receive what God wishes to give to us. Let's come before the Lord. I'm reminded of this beautiful psalm. We have Psalm 37. It says, delight in the Lord and he will grant you your heart's requests. Right? We need to delight in the Lord. If we delight in the Lord and we want the Lord as our one possession, he will give us what we desire, which is himself. And that's what he offers us in every Mass. Let's come before him today and ask that he would give us our heart's desire. Come, Holy Spirit.